Mario Kart Wii was the first game in its series that lets you do one of the coolest things ever: tricks. It's a widely loved concept that continued to be used in all future games of the series. In addition, there are also different types of ramps in the game. In today's video, I'm going to cover how ramps that don't have any sort of flip animation work in Mario Kart Wii. To get a trick in this game, you just need to get around a trickable surface, such as a ramp, and then once on it, activate a trick to get one. To do so, you either need to shake the Wii remote if you're using the Wii wheel or the nunchuck, or press the D-pad on the GameCube or classic controllers. In addition, which way you swing the Wii remote or which button you press on the D-pad determines which trick animation you get. Swinging upward or pressing the upmost button on the D-pad gives you one of the 4 types of trick animations your character can do. If you press up on the D-pad or swing the Wii remote up, you get what's known as an up trick. Pressing left on the D-pad or swinging the Wii remote to the left gets you another type of trick animation, known as a left trick. And using this same logic, you can get a right trick or a down trick. Now that I've given a general summary of how to do tricks, I'm gonna quickly explain how each of the main flipping animations work. In Mario Kart Wii, there are trick ramps where your character flips 1 time in the air. There are ones where your character does 2 flips, and ones where you do no sort of flip at all. The one I'm gonna cover today is that last type. In addition, you can trick off of ramps that are boost panels and some that aren't. The ones where you don't trick off a boost panel will be the ones that don't give a flip trick. Now there are exceptions with custom tracks, but in the vanilla game, no flip ones aren't associated with a boost panel. As the name implies, your character's vehicle will do no flip animation in the air. Instead, the character's bike will just swing to the side or stay in place. For bikes, if you do an up trick or a down trick, your character's vehicle will stay in place, barring things like moving the joystick up or down to change the vehicle's direction mid-air. Instead, just your character will do an animation, with an up trick giving a character one type of animation, and a down trick giving the character a different one. If you do a right trick, the back tire of the bike will go to the right, but if you do a left trick, the back tire will go to the left. And just like up and down, left and right have the characters do their own unique animations. With karts though, the vehicle does not move at all. Instead, only the character will do some sort of animation. Up and down tricks have their own unique animations, but if you do a left or right one, they both share the same animation. Now that I've explained how they look, I'm gonna explain how they work. Earlier, I mentioned that you need to get around a trickable surface, and press a button on the D-pad or shake this thing to do some cool funky stuff. When it comes to activating the trick, there's a 23 frame window where you can do so. This ranges from 13 frames before going into the air up to 10 frames after. So if you swing the Wii remote or press a button on the D-pad, a trick will come out. Once in the air, the animation starts and ends either once you hit the ground, or if you're in the air for long enough for the full trick animation to happen. Once you're back down on the ground, a timer will begin to indicate how long the trick boost will last. This timer I have located on the bottom of the screen where it says trick. For no flip trick ramps, it'll start from 39 with karts and 44 with bikes. On the next frame after landing, the boost sparks will come out, and your vehicle will gain a big increase in speed over the next few frames. The timer will then continue to count down until it reaches 0. Once it reaches 0, on the next frame, the game will go, okay, you're done going faster now. And then on the succeeding frame, the boost you had before will wear off. Afterwards, you will decelerate until you reach what your speed would have been if you weren't in a boost. In total, from the time the boost sparks come out to the time the speedometer begins dropping, the boost lasts for 40 frames with karts and 45 frames with bikes. This type of no-flip trick can take many forms. Some surfaces include steel or wooden ramps, dirt mounds, this bridge up ahead. They're basically everywhere. If it looks cool and you can go into the air, you can probably trick off it. Now that I've explained how no-flip trick ramps work, I'm gonna talk about the special types of ramps that are of that kind. I won't be going into super heavy detail on these, but I'll at least explain the basics of how these special types of ramps work. The most notable of these variations are the bouncy mushrooms on Mushroom Gorge. When you go off these bouncy mushrooms, you'll see that Wario is doing the same types of animations as no-flip trick ramps. This also means that the trick boost from them lasts 45 frames with bikes and 40 frames with karts. As for how these bouncy mushrooms work, When you go off them, they drop you down to 73 kilometers per hour if you are not in a shroom or boost panel boost. However, if you are in one when you touch them, you'll instead go off a mushroom at 100 kilometers per hour. There's also another interesting quirk with these bouncy mushrooms. Where you land on them determines the height you'll get. How this height is determined is based on the slope of the mushroom itself. As you can see here, this lighter layer on the front side of the mushroom slopes upward. If you go off a bouncy mushroom on a part of it that goes upward, you'll end up getting more air. If you go off on the backside where it slopes down, you'll instead get a lot less airtime. The outer darker rim as well as the very top of the mushroom are flat, meaning the airtime you'll get from them isn't that much either. So here, for example, if I go off this darker rim, I end up getting noticeably less air than if I bounce off the upslope. Though if you go off the very, very outer edge, you'll get noticeably more air again. That's because if you look closely, you'll see that the far edges curve upward, similar to this lighter layer right here. So if you go off this very tiny upslope while facing at it, you end up getting a ton of air. There's also another type of no-flip trick ramp whose behavior is similar to that of the bouncy mushrooms. And it's these things that look like boost panels. However, when you go off of them, you'll find yourself dropping down to 73 kilometers per hour. Though while they behave the same in the air, there's a major difference with these ramps, and it's actually pretty cool. If you use your mushroom here and land on the grass ahead, you'll find that you can drive on the off-road without losing speed. This is unique to these types of ramps. If you notice though, I'm only going 84 kilometers per hour, despite being in a wheelie. That's because alongside being immune to off-road, you also don't gain the effects of wheelies. As you can see here, I am doing a wheelie, but I am not going any faster than drifting. In addition, when I land back onto the grass, I don't gain any speed from the trick. In fact, I end up losing speed and drop down to 84 kilometers per hour. That's because with these bouncy ramps, any sort of boost that's not from a boost panel, the mushroom item, mega mushrooms, thunder clouds, stars, and bullet bills does not give you additional speed increase from your base speed. Additionally, using any of these items does not cancel this unique ramps effect. While in any of these items or after you're done using them, the same off-road effects and lack of trick boost or wheelie speed increase still apply. To cancel this weird effect, just land on a bouncy mushroom or fall off the track. When you respawn, you'll be back to normal physics. If you look, I'm going at 97 kilometers per hour instead of 84, and when I touch the grass, I end up losing a ton of speed. Additionally, landing on a mushroom or going off this panel ahead will instantly accelerate you if you are going too slow. There's also another, slower type of no-flip trick ramp that exists, and it's these ramps on GBA Bowser's Castle 3. These tricks look and function the same way animation-wise, and when you land back on the ground, the boost timer from them is still 45 frames with bikes and 40 with carts. Though these ramps, when you go off them, will drop you all the way down to 50 kilometers per hour instead of just 73. You can increase the speed by being in some sort of boost or wheelie, and any combination of these things changes the speed you may be at. For example, being in a mushroom boost but not in a wheelie brings your speed to 70 kilometers per hour. And over the next few frames, your speed will gradually decrease until you get back on the ground. And if you did a wheelie off of one of them while not in a boost, you'd be going off at 57 kilometers per hour, with once again your speed decreasing until you get back on the ground. There's also another cool quirk with them. If you hop while directly on these ramps, the trick becomes significantly lower. And when you land back on the ground, you end up getting your trick boost way sooner as a result. This strategy is also incredibly time-saving because you don't have to stay in the air going at some super slow speed for nearly as long. And just like the bouncy mushrooms on Mushroom Gorge, these yellow ramps here will instantly accelerate you if you're going very slow. Another example of a ramp that functions the exact same way is this one on SNES Ghost Valley 2. And lastly, there's another ramp type that behaves similarly to these slow ramps, and it's these pink ones on GBA Shy Guy Beach. They do end up significantly slowing you down just like BC3. You can do things like low trick off them, Similar speed gaining effects like mushroom boost and wheelies still apply, but the big difference is that instead of going off them at 50 kilometers per hour, you go off them at 59. And that wraps it up for this video. This was a fun subject to cover as there is a lot to Mario Kart Wii trick physics. If you enjoyed what you saw here today, please like and subscribe for more Mario Kart Wii content like this. Thank you so much for watching and have a lovely day.